Iran's military says attacks targeting Israel are over for now, but it is threatening to launch more missiles if Israel keeps up the bombardment of Lebanon. Israel continued to target Iran this morning in retaliation. U.S. President Donald Trump is calling for both sides to stop and indicating American military will stay out of it.
My red line would be if I think I wasn't going to make a deal or if I wasn't going to make a deal fast enough. So we're having very good negotiations with the people that are leading the country now. It's the third group that we've been dealing with, and they are different. And you could say it's regime change, actually, because these are very different people. I find them to be more rational, very smart.
That's Trump from a Friday interview that aired yesterday. Speaking on the weekend, he had strong words about his relationship with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, telling the Financial Times that he is calling the shots and warned Netanyahu not to attack Iran. He adds that Israel would have to accept any deal that the U.S. negotiates with Iran. Trump is insisting again this morning that the deal is close. For more on this, we've reached Thomas Juneau. He is a professor of public and international affairs at the University of Ottawa. Thanks for talking to us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
I want to get your reaction first to what is new this morning, and that's that the Iranian military's Joint Command has now said that it's halting its offensive operations. What do you read into that?
Well, I think what we're seeing is that on the Iranian and the American side, though not so much on the Israeli side, but on the Iranian and American sides, there's a willingness for this not to escalate. President Trump said it. He wants a deal. He wants this war to be over. He wants to move on. He wants the economic costs of the war to be over, especially as midterm elections are coming in the U.S. in only 5 months now. On the Iranian side, there was a clear willingness to send a signal to tell the Israelis that they have to stop bombing Lebanon and Hezbollah. But at the same time, Iran has suffered a lot from this war. It's been hit hard. Its economy is suffering, so it doesn't want this to escalate again. So we are seeing that on both the American and Iranian sides.
So the ceasefire has been in place since April. There remain concerns that the Middle East could be dragged back into a full-scale war. So looking back to how we got here recently with the recent developments, we know Israel struck a petrochemical facility in southern Iran. Iran says they've retaliated by targeting industrial sites in Israel. And again, with this 2-month truce between Iran and Israel and U.S. appearing to have broken down. Given the developments even this morning from what we're hearing from Iran, do you see this escalating further? Where do you see this going from here?
I think there is a chance that it could escalate further because Israel has really been keen to continue bombing Hezbollah in Lebanon. But at the same time, and the situation is so tense, the current ceasefire that, as you said, has been on for 2 months now, since early April, is so fragile. It is so superficial. But at the same time, like we just said, on the Iranian and American side, I think there is a willingness for this not to escalate. So where do I see this going? I think we're basically muddling along with the continuation of the status quo that we've been in since early April. It's a no war, no peace, no man's land, if you will. And it's not just no peace. It's not even serious peace talks. Iran and the U.S. are talking. We know that. But there has not been progress in 2 months because there are so many divergences between the two sides. The two sides are so intransigent. So I think right now the most likely scenario is the muddling along where this very fragile, volatile ceasefire continues with every now and then an escalation of violence like we've seen in the past 48 hours.
Hezbollah is not part of this ceasefire. Could that mean that could make things even more fragile if it remains that Lebanon is not part of the peace deal?
Absolutely. And one of the key reasons to understand what's been going on in the past 24, 48 hours is that Iran wants Lebanon and Hezbollah to be included in the ceasefire. Basically, Iran wants Israel to stop bombing its Hezbollah partner, but Israel is resisting, and Israel wants the Iran and Lebanon theaters to be distinct. Israel would prefer Iran to continue being hit by the U.S., but if there is to be a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran in the Persian Gulf, Israel would like to provide for itself to keep a margin of maneuver to continue hitting Hezbollah in Lebanon. So the dealings that we're seeing now, both military and diplomatic, are really that specific friction.
I want to ask you about what we're hearing from President Donald Trump. He said yesterday that Israel's attacks were not coordinated with the United States. He said he was not happy about it. And we also know that he had spoken to Netanyahu, warning him not to attack Iran. Can the U.S. at this point play a role in de-escalating things at this point?
Well, first of all, I think we do have to take with a grain of salt whenever President Trump says anything. We've seen that in Canada pretty clearly, but over the past few months, but even a couple of years, on the Iran front, he has said things, and in a number of occasions, we realized that they were a front or a facade to prepare for something else. So we do have to be careful at that level. What we are clearly seeing, I think, is a gap between the U.S. and Israel. President Trump wants to move ahead with a ceasefire, a prolonged ceasefire, and a deal with Iran in the Persian Gulf. He wants the Strait of Hormuz to be reopened. Israel is very anxious right now because it is not directly involved in these U.S.-Iran talks, and it seriously fears that the outcome of these talks could be detrimental to Israeli interests, or at least how Netanyahu perceives Israeli interests. He fears that a deal could allow Iran to keep a chunk of its nuclear program in particular. So Israel wants the war to continue, especially in Lebanon, which Trump opposes, and that's the declarations that we've been seeing. So can the U.S. now play a role in de-escalating? In a way, yes, and we have seen a degree of tension between Netanyahu and Trump at that level. Media reports of a very testy phone call just about a week ago now. But as real as that divergence is, it's important not to exaggerate it. They do remain very closely aligned, mostly.
Thomas Juneau, thank you so much for your time this morning, Professor of Public and International Affairs at the University of Ottawa.
Thank you.